Hi, folks. Yesterday we did the math, and today we look at the history. I'm Georgie Boy, ex-banker and property insider. So today I'm going to show you the history, how the Reserve Bank locked the door to the property market in 2013, and how they actually threw away the key in 2024. So we all know there was a property boom from my last 25 years since I've been here in New Zealand. So the boom in 2007. So there is a property boom, and the houses are going up all the time, and the people are actually, try to get the so-called low doc or no doc loan. It's just a piece of paper. So when I was assessing the loan applications, and people with overseas income produced to me that, hey, they earn X amount of money overseas, okay? And based on that, so we just give them the money, loan them the money. So as simple as that. So you can imagine that because of easy credit, availability of money there, and it was very, very cheap. And some clever people, smart people, I call that, and they just fix the system. So use the fake overseas income to get into the property game. And a lot of people were actually buying properties, like buying hot potatoes, and that causing the hot property market. And when the Reserve Bank New Zealand realized that, and they try to put a brake to the property market or lock up the bloody door, okay? So what they proposed, and that is actually in July, so not in October 2013, October 2013. So Reserve Bank came up with a fantastic idea, that is loan to value ratio, LVR, because previously people with like 5% deposit, 10% deposit, and they can buy a property or even a rental property. And I remember that I used this window of opportunity to buy a rental property for myself, 5% deposit to buy a rental property investment. And that was a fantastic time. I really enjoyed that, and I used that one to my advantage, and glad I did it. But I did the right way, and I didn't actually I used the right income for servicing. But that was good old days. 5% deposit, which is a window opportunity for half a year-ish in the market, and then it disappeared. So when the Reserve Bank New Zealand realized that they want to stop the booming market, and they created the loan to value ratio, and that is in October 2013. So 20% deposit, 20%, okay? With 20% of deposit, that's a speed limit hurdle, and that created an obstacle for first home buyers. So they have to turn to mom and dad, the bank of mom and dad, to support to them, and that does it work to stop the booming property market. So that served its purpose. So the market goes up and down, goes up and down, and the last property boom we still clearly remember is up to November and December 2021. All right, that was the last peak. So the interest rate was so cheap, dirty cheap, and anybody who can get lending from the bank was trying to buy property. So the prices shot up, and I got caught that year as well, 2021. And I was buying like crazy as well, and then I got caught. But so anyway, so when the Reserve Bank realized that, so they have another clever invention. They got a lot of tools in their toolbox, which is the DTI. All right. So the DTI in July 2024, so debt to income ratio. So what they proposed was a debt to income ratio that you cannot buy a property which is 5 times of your annual household income. So if your annual household income is 100,000, so you can only buy a property up to, so lending up to $500,000, and later it increased to a DTI of 6. Okay, so that is the real killer. When that is brought into play, that immediately stopped the property market to a halt, to a standstill. So DTI of 5 or 5, yeah, and that's a heavy lifting, and that is more important than the interest rate, because the interest rate can go up and down, but DTI are strictly tighten your wallet, and anybody have a limit hurdle to the ceiling to borrowing money from the bank. So no matter if you are earning $100,000 a year from the bank, from 100,000, or even you are earning $200,000 a year, that give you a lending of up to a million DTI of 5. So plus your deposit, and that's the ceiling for you to buy the property. And hence, that is the heavy lifting, and that stopped the market quite a lot. And recently, I was listening to the podcast of Michael Rim, from the associate professor of Auckland University, and he mentioned about a DTI of 4. A DTI of 4 is the real killer, and that's the real thing. So once any government brought that into play, that will totally control the market. The property market will drop by 40% or 50%. That is a real killer. And last year, I think the housing minister, Christopher Bishop, said he wanted the property prices to drop. That is a good thing to help the first home buyers, and that is a political favor for the young people to get into the property market, and that is all good. Okay, so what Christopher Bishop's idea was to increase the supply. For the increase of the supply to come in, that will kick in another 5 or 10 or 15 years for them to solve the supply issue. So the real killer is Michael Rim's of DTI 4. When that is brought into the reality, the property market, the property boom, that will kill everything. Okay, so why Christopher Bishop? He knows the math, and he doesn't do the real killer, and he talked about the supply, which is fair enough. And our lovely Prime Minister Christopher Luxon mentioned about a steady growth of the property value, which makes more sense, and he is actually favoring the old greedy property investors, like we still want your money, the wealth, because the property holds up to 60% of the New Zealand population. You're tied up in the wealth, and if you want the property prices drop, nobody wants their house to suffer so much. So Christopher Luxon sort of fearing the good oldie people, and they try to win all the population of New Zealand for the political football, if I can say that. Okay. They are actually playing something like we Chinese call that Shuanghuang. That is the theoretical double act. So Christopher Bishop did that, okay, and it looked like he wanted to bring down the property prices and want to get the young people to vote for him. And Christopher Luxon is actually, we still want the property market, property to go steadily, gradually. And that is more practical. What they are ever to play with the future. So folks, as long as we know the numbers and we know the rules and we use that one to our advantage, and this is the all this video about. And so follow for the truth and stick to your gun. Cheers. I'll see you next time.